bienvenidos a la carta. Tenemos un chef muy especial. Un chef creo que viene con toda la iluminación, las luces que pueden tener un autódromo, las comunicaciones, diríamos el 50% de toda la tecnología que uno ve presente en un circuito. Y es nada más ni nada menos que el señor Roberto Grilli, que es gerente general, general manager de la empresa DZ Engineering. Roberto, Estefanía Ferreira, and Edgardo Ver give you a welcome and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the phone that is ringing. It will stop.
No problem.
Thank you very much for your invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you tonight.
Oh, thanks to you, to your time. My first question is, could you introduce yourself and introduce DZ Engineering, please?
Yes, I will. I will stop this thing first.
Yes.
All right. So now we can work properly. Sorry about that.
No problem. No
so I'm the general manager of this engineering, which is a company that is specialized in motorsport and lighting.
Okay.
No mainly. Okay, in motorsport and artistic lighting, which is part of a group of this group, which is quite important group in Italy that includes 14 companies, which is not with different core business, from real estate to textile for furniture, and also, of course, this engineering, which is a system integrator, general contractor. Mm-hmm. Actually, the group includes also some companies in South America, in Brazil, for textile and real estate. So we are international. This engineering, for example, beside the company which is the headquarters in Forlì, we also have a company in Singapore. Mm-hmm. And a branch in Saudi Arabia, where we run the businesses directly on the local business on those countries.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell me, Roberto, which series does that engineering provide lighting for?
The lighting, we actually started with Singapore. That mm-hmm. was the first night race in the history of Formula One, mm-hmm. and that was in 2008. Mm-hmm. At that time, we didn't have any kind of guidelines related to the lighting up of the circuit, because it was the first circuit in the history to be lighted up. And it was a street circuit. Mm-hmm. So the Monte Carlo of Asia. So mm-hmm. it was something very unique. And then we provide, starting from last year, also the lighting system for the e-prix in Riyadh, mm-hmm. in Diriyah, for the circuit of Diriyah. So we just ended that, it was end of January. Mm-hmm. And the second event that we realized in Diriyah, and we hope, of course, to carry on with the same with the same project even in the future, in the next years. Well, the lighting is also in London for the London e-prix, mm-hmm. even if it's something a little bit different compared to the usual that we have seen so far, because it's a normal day race, mm-hmm. but half of the circuit, not half of the circuit, 1/3 of the circuit, 600 meters, are indoor, which mm-hmm. is something, again, unique, that you can do only with electric cars, because you don't have not too much noise. Mm-hmm. Of course, you don't have the exhaust, so the cars can run inside to a building. Mm-hmm. And we started in last year. We're supposed to start in 2020. We started in 2021, and we have an agreement for 5 years with London to light up the Excel building.
Okay, it's so interesting. I like the combination between Formula One and Formula E. It's so exciting because they are so different too. My question is, how do you prepare the tracks before starting to work? And how long before the event do you start working at the track?
Yeah, actually, It really depends from the length of the track and if it is the first year or it is it's a recurrent event that we are doing since a few years. I make you an example. The first year in Singapore in 2008, since it was the first time, and it was in a downtown where the city of Singapore is so dynamic, the traffic, and you have to be careful about every single infrastructure which is already existing. We started 1 year before. Okay. The first year, the following years, because as all the street circuits, everything will be dismantled and reinstalled the year after. The year after. We right now are able to make it in 3 months.
Okay.
Compared to the full installation is 3 months, 3 months and a half. For Formula E in Diriyah, it was much faster. Actually, we realized everything in less than 9 weeks last year and 5 weeks this year.
Okay. Wow.
This means you are shortening the time about preparing the tracks.
Yeah, the time to prepare the track is important. You have to, of course, you have to be careful. You have to. We will do a few survey before to start, because we need to understand which are the situation, which is the infrastructure that we have to be careful about. Trees. Usually, we don't impact on the city. We try to impact as less as possible. So even the trees that are on the track, we will try to avoid to touch it. Maybe sometimes a bit of pruning, but we won't touch anything. So we try to stay on the side of the, because with the lighting, we will do only from in one side of the track. So we try to stay in the side of the track, which is less impactful for the city and for the track itself.
Okay. Wow.
It's interesting because I think that very little people think about how is this preparation, and there's a lot of work behind it. And returning to preparing the track, is it any different about lining a track for Formula 1 and a track for Formula E?
Everyone might think yes, but the answer is no, because it's not. It is not the track itself that will change, but it is the kind of TV broadcasting that you are gonna have.
Okay.
So if it is a TV broadcasting in HD or 4K, the kind of lighting is exactly the same, because you need to have the right level of lighting required for the TV broadcast. For the TV broadcaster, actually, the drivers really can also drive with 1/3 of the light, most probably. The real impactful party in this equation is the TV broadcaster.
Okay, it sounds interesting. I didn't think so before. And how many lumens are required to every event? For each event?
Let's talk about lux, because this is the right lighting level that we are going to measure. It's not only a matter of lux, it's also a matter of uniformity, because the entire track has to, it's like a football pitch, you know, when you watch football. It's important to have a very nice and very even images in the entire track. So yeah, you need to have a minimum, minimum required level, but which is 1500 lux. But after that, you have also the vertical. You have to consider a lot of factors. But yeah, let's say that the average lighting, the minimum lighting level that you need to have in the entire track is 1500 lux, horizontal level.
You were talking about London, and London is a different race, half indoors and 3/4 outdoors. I'm thinking about Monaco and the problem about lighting within the tunnel and without the tunnel. Do you have the same problem in London, indoors and outdoors?
Yeah, it is the same problem, but in Monaco, everyone really loved to drive in Monaco, and for many years, actually the lighting level inside of the tunnel was not something that someone would think about, so nobody complained about that. Now that they are, even the drivers, I mean, the level of racing changed over the years, and the drivers are much more detailed on some situations. Yeah, the impact you might have, but it's also when you are driving in the highway and you enter in the tunnel. If the tunnel is well light up, you won't have this discomfort. But when the tunnel is not very well lighted up, when you enter, you can have that impactful moment that you cannot see properly. So we are careful on that as well. Even in London, we need to be careful when the drivers enter inside the tunnel and when they exit, where the light's supposed to be slightly higher so that the impact will be less.
Okay. Wow. It's so many things to think about.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's true.
You was mentioned about DC engineering. The company is also in charge of the radio communication system for both categories.
Well, yeah, and our work in motorsport is mainly divided in race communications, yes, and lighting.
Okay.
And also right now, you know that when you see a motorsport event, you always have the electronic flags, right?
Yes.
From Formula 1, for example, you always see the electronic flags, even in Formula E. Until now was not a mandatory system for the tracks. Only Formula 1 was having the electronic flags in every single circuit. Actually, it's a solution that we developed for the first time in the first step in Singapore in 2008, because it was a night race, and because we were not sure if, the drivers can see properly the flags for the marshals.
Yes.
So we tested already for a few years an electronic system for the flags, and we introduced it in Singapore for the first time. After that, FIA used their own developed solution, but now it is a requirement for every single track, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and grade ABC for MotoGP, to introduce it starting from this year in every single track to increase the safety level, which is part also of our background, because there are right now only 3 companies in the world able to supply this equipment, and we are one of them. So I might say that we are so far the only company on the market able to supply lighting, radio, race communication, and electronic flag. To reply to your question, in e-prix, for the e-prix of Riyadh and London, we supply only the lighting, but Singapore is an integrated solution with everything. So the infrastructure includes also the CCTV camera for the race electronics and for the race control, include the fiber optic backbones, include the public address and the marshal communications.
Wow, wow, wow.
As I said before, I think that very little people have an idea about all the things around a race, because it seems that these things happens as a sort of miracle. Harry Potter is behind them, and we have a whole company working hard in order to get a race for people who watch television. So
yeah, really, can you imagine? Only for our package in Singapore, which is lighting and racecom, we have just as 110 people that are working during the main event. So, and the numbers are incredible, because you are absolutely right. If you consider that in Singapore, for 1,600 floodlights, we have 200 kilometers of cables that has to be installed and removed every year. So just for the cables. the amount of work is incredible. It's really incredible. You are absolutely right. Behind a motorsport event, there is a massive work that has to be done before to race.
Oh, it's so hard.
So Roberto, I got a question because you told me you got 5 weeks to prepare everything for a race. But when the race finishes, how long does it take to remove everything? Because you are in the middle of a city, so time is money, and you need to do it fast.
Usually we have a storehouse inside of the same city where the installation is required. And to give you an example of Singapore, as I said, we install everything in 3 months, 3 months and a half. The dismantling is only 1 month. While for bricks, 5 weeks for the installation and only 2 weeks and a half for this dismantling. So dismantling is much faster because you don't need to test anything. You don't need to be very, I mean, we have to be very careful, but the kind of stress is different. You know what I mean, right?
Yes.
Returning to tracks, apart from the tracks you mentioned before, do you work with any Italian track? Because I think that this is based in Italy.
Yeah, we are based in Italy. Actually, Europe did not, except for the bricks in London, didn't start, let's say, yet to light up the tracks. But the reason behind the lighting of circuit is not only for the spectacular of the event, but at the beginning, the idea was in Singapore, we light up the track so that the people in Europe, where there is the big market for motorsport, they can see it during the day. So 10 p.m. in Singapore, it will be 2 p.m. in Europe. So people during summer, they just finish lunch and they are ready to see the start of the race. And also another reason was, and it is the weather. In Singapore during the day is very hot and warm the entire day, which is the same idea that came out in Diriyah and Riyadh, but behind the idea to have a night race there was also the concept to be the first having a night race there in Middle East, which is the same situation that happened also for Jeddah, because we know that Jeddah this year has been lighted up as well.
Yes.
We didn't win that tender, has been won by our competitor, because we have only one competitor in the world so far that does also the lighting for motorsport. Motorsport, let's say the traditional idea of motorsport, not the American motorsport. Let's say the European, the FIA motorsport. So that's the idea behind the lighting of a track. It's not only show, which is important, but it's also some real reason that was at the starting of this adventure.
Okay. Wow. I'm impressed. So impressed. We mentioned races at London, Diriyah, Singapore. Did this work at any other track, either Formula 1 or Formula E?
Well, we work, yes, and I will, in this way, I will reply also to your question before. For race electronics, which is not lighting, we have several clients as well in Italy, because Monza, Imola, we revamped their race electronics solution, especially the race control and CCTV camera in 2020 for both. While we worked also in Vallelunga, that is a former Formula 1 track in close to Rome. We worked in Franciacorta, which is a Porsche center, European center. That's related to Italy. Around the world, actually, I am in a hotel room. That's why the reason why the phone is ringing, because there were probably organizing the pickup for me tomorrow morning because I'm doing my quarantine right now.
Okay.
I'm in Jakarta. I'm heading to Mandalika, Lombok, where there is the first track in Indonesia for MotoGP. They will have, we are having the winter test of MotoGP. We provided the entire electronic systems. And Asia obviously is another market important for us because we have a company located in Singapore. So we worked for many years in Malaysia. We developed also the entire system for Vietnam, which is a pity that didn't happen 2 years back because of COVID. So yeah, well, race electronics is easier. Everyone needs to have a CCTV camera and a race control because they need, of course, to check what is going to happen in the race. Lighting is something a bit more posh, let's say. I think that in the future, street circuit will be a huge market for motorsport. And I think that it will grow also the lighting system for those.
Yes, I agree.
Returning just a bit to Formula E. By any chance, do you use the former Formula E batteries for lighting or for any sort of purpose while working at the track? Because batteries is one of the topics. What do people do with batteries which are not longer used in Formula E cars? Do you use that sort of material?
That's a very interesting question. Well, I know that, okay, that equipment is not belong to us. What they are trying to do also in London was to, they are studying how to recover those batteries because you can have second life of batteries. They might not be used anymore on the cars, but can be used somewhere else.
Yeah.
So there are some discussion to use it like UPS, for example, for a second, for a backup for the lighting. But there are also some discussion going on to see if it's possible, maybe one day, to have one track that is fully light up with second life batteries, which is not something impossible, but something that has to be discussed. We are not there yet, but it might not be impossible at all, actually.
Okay.
This is whatever I can tell you, okay? I cannot tell you more than that.
It's okay. Y ya nos has dicho demasiado.
Steffi said that you have told us enough about this piece of news.
Yeah.
Roberto, how many people do work for DZ?
Actually, the company is a small, medium industry because we are the core of the company, included also branches and another company that are related to this engineering are less than 40 people. Our strength is we are working and able to grow very fast, working with partners during events, which is the best solution. And it is also something that really saved us in 2020 when the motorsport industry and the entertainment industry was really in trouble because of the pandemic situation. Our strength is also that one. We keep a core, very small core with technicians and engineers that are able to develop the project first, the design. Once we are ready for the installation, for the procurement, and whatever else, we are able to grow very fast. And it's something which is a model. It's a business model that works well for us.
Okay. Wow.
No,
I did a test yesterday, so it should not be an issue. This cough.
No problem, no problem. Por favor, no, tranquilo. It's incredible to think about it because you already said that we are thinking about the cars or the MotoGP, and we don't maybe understand so much about how the event, the whole event was prepared. And I think that it's this interview, it's a nice and an interesting kind of sorry, kind of una manera, una manera agradable de contarlo, to tell about. Sorry.
Roberto, you told us that you got a branch in Brazil. Are you thinking about expanding in South America, for example, Chile, Argentina, Uruguay?
Well, it's a market that for motorsport is a market like Italy or we are Latin, right? So we are passion, and the passion for motorsport is there.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not excluding the South America as a market at all. I think, for example, to be totally honest, for us, US is a much difficult market, but South America, no. And we are trying to expand there, at least with some solution that we can provide to the tracks and circuits. Yes.
Well, Steffi, no sé si te quedó alguna pregunta en
No,
tintero.
después de cómo me trabé, no, olvídate. Ya está, gasté mi inglés hoy.
I am asking Estefania if she still have any sort of question to ask you, and she told us that no, after she got stuck while talking in English, so said, no, no, I'm sweating enough, so I'm not going to ask anything. Roberto, if you want to add anything else about this, that for people, the air is yours. Feel free to do it.
Well, I mean, I would like to highlight something that I was starting to say earlier on about the street circuit. Yeah. The real business and the real strength of street circuit, and is where we are also probably number one in terms of companies to have experience on and knowledge on that, is because it is something that it's very easy for entire families to reach and to get closer to the motorsport. Motorsport is it's a kind of sport that you need to be passionate to follow, and what we have seen in the last decades, most probably the young generation was not anymore so passionate. At least this is what we have seen in Europe, so passionate like people a little bit more mature, but even because actually in a normal track you have to drive, for example, for 4 hours or 2 hours to watch a motorsport event, hoping that is exciting, and then you have to drive back for another 4 hours queuing, and you need really to have a let's say passion and drive to go there.
Yes.
With the street circuit, what we have seen since year one in Singapore, for example, you can reach the track directly with metro, with families can really reach the track easily. Some of them, they can walk outside from their house and they are already on the track. You can have entertainment for people, and it is the power of night races, because you can have, for example, people that go to the track early in the afternoon. They can have food, they can have entertainment for families, and the same ticket that you enjoy the show, after that you can also enjoy, for example, concert.
Yes.
And it's a great, I think it's really a great format to save the future, for the future of motorsport itself. And you have seen that the same situation is happening as well in Diriyah. You buy a ticket, and after that you go to the concert. And Formula E and electric cars gives also the opportunity for the youngest generation to get closer to the motorsport world. Sometimes I hear Formula E is not nice like old traditional motorsport. Yeah, but maybe because we are born on that concept. The young generation will be the people that will drive the electric cars in the future.
Yes.
And so it's normal. It's a process that it's normal, the normal cycle of life. And so what I can say is, I think really that the format of street circuit that has not even a so big impact in terms of costs for the promoter that has to maintain a track for an entire year, might be really something that in the future we see that is already very very popular, but I believe it will become even more popular for in the next 5-10 years.
I do agree with you completely. I think that some tracks are like white elephants, and to have, for example, in Argentina, to have a huge track for 1 or 2 races a year is wasting money. Is wasting money, and I also agree that to have some easiness to reach the track, not to queue and to have everything there and to have a whole show where the core is the race, but you got many things around it, are attracting a lot of these new generations. Not ours. Ours were the 70s and the 80s in my case. But this new generation with the old tracks are lost.
Yeah. And also you see the format of Formula E is only 45 minutes, which is perfect for an event. Very long events is becoming a little bit difficult. We see also in the normal life of every day. I mean, everything has to be faster and faster. So it was on Facebook TikTok that has to be very, very short. Everything has to be fast. So we need to create this format. It's important that we create a new format for people of tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Roberto, we want to thank you for these minutes. Really, your dish was exquisite.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
No, and anytime you got any piece that you want to broadcast, feel free to get in touch. And of course, we are going to invite you again as chef of Carta and of graining.f to talk about these little things invisible for the huge people who are only thinking that a race are 20 cars, one behind the other.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for having invited me at your media radio, and good luck for everything.
All right.
Let's keep in touch.
Yes, absolutely. Bye.
Bye.